Hello everybody, my name is John Beverly. I'm going to be talking to you about some course preliminaries today. I'm walking through some PowerPoint slides. Let's see. So about me, I'm working logic and applied ontology for the most part. Those are the areas of philosophy I specialize in. Logic, kind of mathy. Don't worry, I'm not going to run you through the math ringer here. We're going to be doing more philosophy than anything logical. Although we'll do a little logic because it's such a cornerstone of contemporary philosophy, it'd be a shame not to. Applied ontology, you may not have heard of. This is basically taking philosophical and metaphysical principles that are learned from the history of philosophy and applying those to organizing data in real-world applications. Background, I have a Bachelor's of Science from North Carolina State and a Master's from good old University of Buffalo and a PhD from Northwestern. I was previously, very recently, as a matter of fact, employed as a senior researcher in Johns Hopkins University's Applied Physics Lab, where I did applied ontology. And I'm currently employed here at UB as an assistant professor. All right, so first thing, all right, so in all of my courses, I help or encourage or insist really that my students engage in a little bit of meditation, at least just to clear your head, prior to solving challenging problems or prior to understanding or attempting to understand challenging content. If you are so inclined to listen to me speak, I'll walk you through a couple of meditation practices that I've come across that I teach in critical thinking classes. Next, spaced repetition. Basically, I'm going to ask you sometimes the same question later in the course. So I'll ask you about some content that we've already covered, that is, in a slightly different way. And I'll ask you to think about an answer to the question or engage with the content without looking at your notes or anything like that, just trying to pull it from your long-term memory. The more you do that, the more you'll flex that long-term memory muscle, the more that info will be, as you see here, massaged into your brain, right? And what does that mean? I guess it's best to elaborate with an example, right? Like, have you ever written a paper on a topic you knew a lot about? Probably. I bet it was easy and it was probably a good paper. Have you ever tried to write a paper on a topic you didn't know much about? Of course you have. It's college, right? I bet it was tough and I bet the paper wasn't that good. Do you know why that you had an easier time writing about something you knew a lot about? Because you already had the content ready to your mind, right? It was already massaged into your brain. It was already in your long-term memory. You didn't have to think much about it. You didn't have to think about like checking your sources. It was just there, right? So repetition and pulling and flexing that long-term memory muscle this is how you get content into your brain, or at least one way to get content into your brain, like so you know a lot about it without, and it's a way to do it without having to sit around and memorize stuff. I don't want you to sit around and memorize stuff out of class. I don't want you to like go over notes and be like, I gotta remember what this is called or this jargon, blah blah blah. It will come. Just follow my lead, right? Like, all right. Some more specifics about the content of the course, or at least the structure of the course. We're going to have discussion boards, quizzes, and lectures. In the discussion boards, you'll be expected to complete a short question or answer or address a question or some content almost every week. And now half of these discussion boards will ask you to summarize material that you've learned and also evaluate whether you've learned something new or not. And read those discussion boards carefully, because if you think you haven't learned something new, I'm going to ask you to prove that to me, and that is going to be quite a bit more challenging. So maybe research yourself a little more and see, hey, did I learn anything new? This is good for you, though. This will be good as we progress through the course, because you can see what you're getting out of the class. And also, it'll help me, because if I'm watching, I'm going to read these, right? And if I see that you're not like, maybe some of you are not really getting like as much out of the course as others, that'll give me something to focus on and give me something I can use to help you get more out of the course. And it's very important to me. I want you to get as much as you can out of this course, and I'm gonna focus on these. And I'm gonna try to help you, but this will be a good way for me to see what you need or what could be helpful for you. Now, the other half of the discussion boards are going to be reinforcing content covered in a course by skill training. So I'm going to ask you to often like reconstruct arguments and then engage with your peers about whether they're good arguments or not. This is good critical thinking practice. It might get a little competitive. That's okay. That's all right. You're going to be a safe space. And I'm gonna be there, like hold the reins in. We won't get too animated. It's hard to, I mean, I know how hard it is to get too animated online. Nobody ever gets mad at each other online. No, we'll engage in one another in a safe environment, and we'll practice these argumentative skills and posting about them and extracting arguments and stuff in these other discussion boards. So they'll alternate. So one week you'll have a summary sort of discussion board, the other will be a critical engagement. You're expected to do all of them, and you'll have a whole week. All right, so quizzes. You will be expected to complete a multiple choice quiz nearly every week. And the questions will be kind of challenging. They're not going to be your run-of-the-mill, like, did you do the reading questions. These are not going to be those run-of-the-mill comprehension questions. You're really going to have to understand the material to answer these questions. And I'll give you, I'm going to say more about like kind of a way in. That'll help you in a second. But I just want you to know, like, when answering these questions accurately is a good reflection of competency with the material. So if you walk away with like an 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or above or something, you should feel confident that you answered the question, like you understand the material, okay? They're that challenging. You are encouraged to work together. Feel free to make a new discussion board on UB Learns or something, or a Discord or whatever you want. Like, however, just you're more than welcome to work with other people. You're more than welcome to ask me questions as well, okay? So don't be shy. All right, lectures. This is what I was suggesting a minute ago. I was talking about kind of a way into answering the question. So I'm going to post lectures almost every week going over content from the readings. You should treat them as something like a cheat sheet for making an A in the class, because I basically go over everything you need to know from the content. The texts are very deep, very loaded. They've been written by experts who trained many years and like spent a lot of time writing them. It'd be crazy to think that you could just come in and pick it up, right? like these people they put in the work, you know. So I'm going to do a lot of the extracting of the content of the text for you in these lectures, and in doing so, hopefully I'm going to show you how to extract content from text so you can do it on your own. And that's also, as I said, that's something we're going to be practicing in a discussion board, that kind of extracting content skill. So, but I'm going to show you what the fruits of that labor are in the lectures, and you can use those lectures to, you know, help guide your discussion board posts when we're working on skills, and also in particular help you answer multiple choice questions. And again, I want to emphasize, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm genuinely happy to help, okay? And I want you to get it as much as you can in the course, and I will bend over, you know, backwards, as it were, to make sure that you do. Okay, so that is all I have for this preliminary lecture. Stay tuned for the next one.